What if I told you a simple piece of fruit, something you've eaten your whole life, could raise your stroke risk after 60? You may feel fine one moment, then wake up unable to speak. You might think you're eating smart, grapes with breakfast, a banana after your walk, but these healthy habits may be silently turning deadly. If you or someone you love is over 60, you need to see this. Because by the end of this video, you'll know which 9 fruits could raise your risk of stroke and how to stay safe without giving up sweetness. As a neurologist who's worked with the aging adults for over 20 years, I've seen too many strokes that didn't have to happen. It's not about fear, it's about understanding. Because what used to be healthy in your 30s might now quietly work against you in your 70s. That includes fruit. Not all fruit is dangerous, but some of the most common ones can interact with your medications, spike your blood sugar, or raise your blood pressure in ways that increase stroke risk over time. Let me walk you through the science and, more importantly, the stories. As we age, our bodies process food differently. Your blood vessels stiffen, your kidneys and liver slow down, your brain becomes more sensitive to pressure changes, and the medications you rely on can magnify how even a small piece of fruit affects your system. Sugar hits harder, potassium builds up faster, acid becomes more irritating, and drug interactions become dangerous. This is why what seems harmless, like a sweet snack or morning smoothie, can trigger something serious. 1. Bananas. The hidden danger of potassium overload. After 60, story, Mr. Harris's daily habit nearly cost him everything. Every morning at 7 o'clock a.m. sharp, Mr. Leonard Harris, age 78, would slice 2 perfectly ripe bananas into his oatmeal. It was part of a routine he believed had kept him healthy for years. He took pride in avoiding processed sugar, never touched junk food, and hadn't skipped his blood pressure medications in over a decade. To anyone looking from the outside, Leonard was the picture of smart senior health. But over the past few weeks, he'd been feeling off. First, it was dizziness when he stood up too fast. Then came the fatigue. He chalked it up to age. Until one morning, while walking to check his mailbox, Leonard collapsed onto the front lawn. His heart rate had slowed dramatically, and his blood pressure had dropped to dangerous levels. Paramedics arrived in time, and thankfully, he recovered. But the hospital lab work revealed something shocking. His potassium levels were dangerously high. His heart was struggling to keep up. The first fruit is bananas, the hidden danger of potassium. Overload after 60 miles. And the culprit? Those innocent-looking bananas. Science. When healthy potassium becomes a silent threat. Bananas are famous for their potassium content, and for good reason. Potassium is essential for nerve function, fluid balance, and especially heart rhythm. But for seniors, especially those on blood pressure medications like AC inhibitors, e.g. lisinopril or ARBs and e.g. losartan, potassium can turn from helpful to harmful. Here's why. Normally, your kidneys help filter out excess potassium through your urine. But with age, kidney function declines, especially after 60. Add in medications that already conserve potassium, and your body starts accumulating too much. The result? Hyperkalemia, a condition where potassium levels in the blood become dangerously high. High potassium can slow your heart rate, cause arrhythmias, trigger weakness, confusion, and in severe cases, cardiac arrest. And the problem is silent at first. You don't feel high potassium levels creeping up. You just notice being tired, off balance, dizzy. That's what makes it so dangerous for older adults. Bananas are a potassium powerhouse. A medium banana contains about 420 milliliters. Multiply that by 2, like Mr. Harris did, and suddenly you're consuming almost 20% of your daily limit before you've even had lunch. If your kidneys are sluggish or your medications reduce potassium excretion, even one large banana can tip your blood chemistry into the red zone. It's important to remember potassium overload doesn't happen overnight. It builds slowly, silently, and especially in older adults with reduced kidney function or multiple prescriptions. Here's what raises risk the most. Taking ACE inhibitors or ARBs for blood pressure or heart disease. Using potassium-sparing diuretics like spironolactone. Having diabetes, which affects the kidneys. Eating multiple high-potassium foods daily like bananas, oranges, tomatoes, potatoes. Dehydration, which slows filtration. And because potassium affects electrical signals in your heart, even slight elevations can become dangerous quickly, causing fainting, skipped beats, or worse. The good news? You don't have to give up bananas completely, but you must be strategic, especially if you're over 60 and on medications. Here's how to stay safe. 1. Cut your portion. Stick to half a banana, especially if you eat other potassium-rich foods during the day. This gives you the flavor and fiber benefits without the overload. 2. Never eat bananas on an empty stomach. Eating bananas first thing spikes blood sugar and leads to faster potassium absorption. Always eat them with a balanced meal, ideally paired with a protein or fat like almond butter, Greek yogurt, or a boiled egg. 3. Avoid combining bananas with other high potassium fruits. That means no tropical smoothies made with banana, mango, and orange juice. The potassium total adds up fast. 4. Know your medications. If you're on lisinopril, losartan, spironolactone, or a water pill like triamterene, talk to your doctor about how much potassium is safe for you. You may need to limit it even more. 5. Watch for subtle symptoms. If you feel muscle weakness, tingling, chest tightness, or get lightheaded easily, ask your doctor for a potassium blood test. Catching hyperkalemia early can prevent serious complications. We often treat fruit as harmless, but that's a dangerous myth, especially after 60. Your aging body doesn't filter, balance, or recover the way it once did. What you once tolerated in your 30s can now tip your chemistry out of balance. Bananas are not bad, they're just potent. And in the wrong context, like first thing in the morning, in large portions, or alongside certain medications, they can silently set the stage for serious heart and brain problems. Mr. Harris now enjoys half a banana mid-morning with a scoop of Greek yogurt and a sprinkle of flaxseed. He's feeling stronger, his labs have stabilized, and he never imagined one simple change could make that big a difference. So, if you love bananas, you don't have to cook them, but you do need to respect them. Because after 60, every bite matters. Tadu grapes, sweet, small, and surprisingly dangerous for the aging brain story. The afternoon snack that nearly cost Mr. Delaney. His speech for 82-year-old Thomas Delaney, life after retirement was peaceful. Every afternoon he sat on his porch with a small bowl of red grapes, a ritual he believed was heart-healthy and harmless. He'd read countless articles about how grapes were good for the heart, full of antioxidants, and perfect for seniors. But one Tuesday evening, while speaking with his granddaughter on a video call, Thomas suddenly froze mid-sentence. His face drooped slightly. His words came out slurred. His daughter, alarmed, called emergency services immediately. Second is grapes. Doctors later confirmed he'd had a mild ischemic stroke. A small blood clot had briefly cut off blood flow to his brain. His labs showed elevated blood sugar, systemic inflammation, and early insulin resistance. He hadn't been eating candy or soda. He wasn't diabetic, but he was eating fruit, grapes, every single day by the handful. And that's what most people miss. Even healthy sugars from fruit can become harmful when consumed in excess, especially by older adults. Grapes, especially red and green seedless varieties, contain a high concentration of natural sugar called glucose and fructose. While these sugars are natural, they're still sugar, and they're absorbed rapidly in the body, especially when the fruit is eaten without protein or fiber to slow it down. A single cup of grapes contains 27 grams of sugar, nearly the same as a candy bar. When seniors consume this as a snack, particularly on an empty stomach or in the evening, the result can be a rapid blood sugar spike followed by an insulin surge. Here's what happens next. Your blood sugar rises fast, especially if you're insulin resistant. Your pancreas releases insulin to control the surge. This triggers inflammation, especially in small blood vessels, including those in the brain. Over time, repeated spikes can lead to microvascular damage and plaque buildup, key triggers for stroke. Even worse, seniors often take medications that slow glucose processing or affect blood pressure regulation, making sugar spikes even more unstable. Inflammation builds silently, and blood vessels in the brain become less flexible, more prone to damage or clotting. Grapes are also high in resveratrol, an antioxidant. That's a good thing, in moderation. but too many grapes can flood your system with both sugar and blood-thinning compounds, increasing the risk of unstable blood flow and clot formation, or worse, bleeds for those already on blood thinners. After age 60, your body doesn't process sugar the way it used to. Your insulin response becomes slower, your blood vessels less elastic, and your metabolism less forgiving. That makes even small amounts of sugar more potent. Seniors often say it's just fruit, but for those with prediabetes or type 2 diabetes, high blood pressure, a history of stroke or TIA, cognitive decline, or who take medications like metformin, statins, or blood pressure pills, grapes can go from healthy snack to dangerous trigger. Many seniors combine grapes with other high-sugar fruits like bananas, watermelon, or orange juice, unknowingly creating a perfect storm of sugar and inflammation. Grapes are fine, but only when handled wisely. You don't need to eliminate grapes from your life, but they must be treated with care, especially if you're over 61. Here's how to protect yourself. 1. Portion strictly, no more than 10-12 grapes at a time. That's about the size of a small handful, not a full bowl. Grapes are easy to overeat because they're bite-sized, but sugar adds up fast. 2. Always pair with a healthy fat or protein. Have grapes with a few almonds, a slice of cheese, or a small spoonful of nut butter. This slows sugar absorption and stabilizes blood sugar. 3. Never eat grapes in the evening or before bed. Your body's circulation and metabolism slow down at night. Sugar spikes at this time are more damaging and more likely to trigger overnight strokes in vulnerable brains. 4. Be mindful if you're on medications, especially if you take blood pressure meds, statins, or diabetes medications. Talk to your doctor about whether grapes or other high-sugar fruits are appropriate for your diet. 5. Monitor for subtle signs. If you start experiencing morning headaches, mental fog, or dizziness after sugary snacks, it might be time to get your blood sugar and inflammation markers checked. Grapes have a great reputation, but like many fruits, their context matters more than their content. They're small, sweet, and easy to eat without noticing how much you've had. But in the aging body, especially one taking multiple prescriptions or managing chronic conditions, even fruit sugars can set off dangerous internal changes. Mr. Delaney now eats 6 to 8 grapes after lunch with a slice of turkey or cheese. He's learned to enjoy them as part of a balanced plate, not as a standalone snack. His cognition has stabilized, and he feels more alert, less foggy, and most importantly, in control of what he eats. The next fruit is pineapple, acid, sugar, and a surprising stroke trigger story, a summer treat that sent Mrs. Vera Jensen to the ER. Vera Jensen, age 76, was known for her vibrant spirit and sunny attitude. Every summer afternoon, she'd sit by her kitchen window with a chilled bowl of pineapple chunks. She loved the taste, sweet, tangy, refreshing, and thought it was helping her digestion and inflammation. But one July morning, her daughter found her sitting at the table confused, unable to recall simple words. Her blood pressure was low. Her pupils were uneven. At the hospital, scans revealed a transient ischemic attack, a mini-stroke that served as a warning sign. What was shocking wasn't just the stroke, but what likely contributed to it. Vera had no history of high blood pressure or diabetes. Her medications were mild, but she had been eating pineapple every single day, often on an empty stomach, sometimes right before bed. Few people would ever blame pineapple. But for seniors, it's a fruit with hidden risks, especially when combined with age-related changes in blood vessels and digestion. At first glance, pineapple seems like a healthy snack. It's low in fat, rich in vitamin C, and touted for its anti-inflammatory enzyme, bromelain. But here's what most seniors, and even many doctors, don't realize. 1. Pineapple is one of the most acidic fruits. Its pH can range from 3.2 to 4.0. That means it creates an acidic environment in your digestive tract and bloodstream. In seniors with reduced kidney function, or those taking medications like diuretics or antacids, this acidity isn't cleared efficiently. The result? Systemic inflammation and blood vessel irritation. 2. It contains a sugar-acid combination that rapidly spikes blood glucose. 1 cup of fresh pineapple contains around 22 grams of sugar, plus the acid that makes sugar absorption even faster. This combination triggers sudden insulin surges that can cause blood vessels to constrict, pressure to drop, and clotting factors to shift unpredictably. 3. Bromelain thins the blood, and not always safely. While this enzyme can help reduce inflammation, it also acts as a natural blood thinner. That's dangerous if you're already on medications like aspirin, Plavix, or warfarin. In fact, bromelain can increase the risk of internal bleeding or lead to unstable clotting, especially if combined with other blood-thinning fruits like cherries or strawberries. When you combine high sugar, blood glucose spikes, acidity, vascular irritation, bromelain, clotting interference, you get a triple threat to cerebral circulation. In younger adults, the body recovers quickly from these fluctuations. But in older adults, where blood vessels are already less flexible and where micro tears and plaque may already exist, pineapple can tip the balance toward clot formation or unstable blood flow in the brain. And when you eat pineapple at the wrong time, such as before bed, after fasting, or with blood pressure medications, you magnify the risk. Why? Because your circulation slows. Blood pressure may dip too low, and the body isn't primed to process that sugar acid load. Your kidneys and liver naturally filter acid and sugar, but both organs slow with age. And many seniors take ACE inhibitors or ARBs, which retain potassium and alter kidney function, diuretics, which dehydrate and increase blood acidity, blood thinners, which bromelain can amplify. Even a small bowl of pineapple in the wrong context can trigger headaches, sudden drops in blood pressure, irregular heart rhythms, confusion, dizziness, or slurred speech. These are often dismissed as normal aging, but they may actually be mini strokes in disguise. Pineapple is powerful, but it must be handled carefully. Here's how seniors can safely enjoy pineapple without inviting stroke risk. Question 1. Limit your serving to half a cup, no more than 2-3 times a week. Even healthy fruit needs portion control. Pineapple should be a treat, not a daily habit. 2. Never eat pineapple on an empty stomach or before bed. Its acidity and sugar hit harder when digestion is slow or when blood pressure is naturally low, like during sleep. Enjoy it only with a meal, preferably before 4 p.m. 3. Always pair with healthy fat or protein. Add a few cashews, a spoon of plain Greek yogurt, or even a boiled egg on the side. This helps slow absorption and reduces blood sugar spikes. 4. If you're on blood thinners, talk to your doctor first. Bromelain may interact with medications. Ask whether it's safe for you, especially if you take aspirin, Plavix, warfarin, or supplements like ginkgo or fish oil. 5. Stay hydrated and track your symptoms. If you notice bloating, joint pain, dizziness, or tingling after pineapple, stop immediately and discuss it with your physician. It doesn't taste overly sweet like mango or grapes. It feels light, refreshing, even healthy, but it's biochemically intense. Vera Jensen, who used to eat pineapple daily, now limits it to a few bites after lunch twice a week. She says she feels more stable and mentally clear since adjusting her diet. Her blood pressure readings have evened out, and she hasn't had another episode. Pineapple isn't bad, but it's not innocent either. It's a fruit that deserves respect, especially as we age. Not just because of the sugar, but because of the interactions, acidity, and enzymes that affect how our aging bodies function. Your brain relies on stable blood flow and consistent pressure, and pineapple can shake that balance without you even noticing. The fourth fruit is watermelon. Overnight dehydration and dangerous blood pressure. Drops story, the midnight fall that changed Mr. Leonard's life. Mr. Harold Leonard, age 81, was an active and independent widower living in Florida. Every night before bed, he treated himself to a bowl of cold watermelon. He believed it was hydrating, heart-healthy, and better than any sugary dessert. It helped him cool down during the hot southern nights, and he enjoyed the lightness of it. Just water and vitamins, he used to say. Then one morning, Harold didn't show up for his usual senior center walk. A neighbor found him on the floor of his bathroom, blessed and slurring his words. His blood pressure was dangerously low, and he was severely dehydrated. At the ER, imaging revealed a minor ischemic stroke, and the doctors were puzzled. His medication was properly dosed. His vitals had been stable at his last checkup. So what went wrong? After reviewing his daily habits, we uncovered the likely trigger. watermelon at night combined with his blood pressure medication and a mild diuretic. What seemed like a harmless habit had quietly created a perfect storm for stroke. At first glance, watermelon seems ideal for seniors. It's hydrating, low in calories, and rich in lycopene and citrulline, two compounds often praised for cardiovascular benefits. But under the surface, watermelon can be surprisingly risky for older adults, especially when eaten in large amounts, right before bed, combined with blood pressure or heart medications. Here's why. 1. Watermelon is a natural diuretic. Watermelon is 92% water, but it's also a mild diuretic thanks to its high levels of citrulline, which increases urine production. For seniors already on diuretics like hydrochlorothiazide or furosemide, this can lead to overnight dehydration, especially if the body is already in a resting, low circulation state during sleep. Dehydration thickens the blood, raises the risk of clot formation, and causes the blood vessels to narrow to preserve fluid balance, a dangerous setup for brain ischemia. 2. Watermelon drops blood pressure too fast. Citrulline in watermelon also boosts nitric oxide production, which relaxes blood vessels and lowers blood pressure. While this is beneficial for many, it becomes risky for seniors taking antihypertensive meds, especially ACE inhibitors, beta blockers, or ARBs. Combined with these medications, watermelon can drop blood pressure too low, especially at night when the body naturally lowers its circulatory rate. That's why so many strokes occur in the early morning hours. It's the lowest point of circulation, and even a mild drop can starve parts of the brain of oxygen. Hidden sugars of palm accelerate blood sugar swings. Although watermelon tastes light, 1 cup has about 11 grams of sugar, and it absorbs quickly due to its high water content and low fiber. When eaten alone or late at night, it causes a quick sugar spike followed by a steep drop, especially in older adults with insulin resistance. This glucose roller coaster can make seniors feel dizzy, weak, or confused, and these symptoms often overlap with early signs of a stroke, making them harder to detect in time. Why watermelon can quietly set up stroke risk overnight. Here's what happens inside the senior body after a nighttime bowl of watermelon. 1. Within 30-60 minutes, your sugar enters the bloodstream quickly. A small insulin spike occurs, followed by a drop in blood sugar. 2. 1 to 3 hours later, while sleeping, citrulline from watermelon widens blood vessels and pushes blood pressure even lower, especially dangerous for those on meds. 3. Overnight, the body loses more fluid through urination. Dehydration sets in, blood becomes more concentrated. 4. Early morning, blood vessels, now narrowed and dry, are prone to micro tears. A clot forms, and if it lodges in the brain, a stroke can follow, all from a fruit you thought was safe. After age 60, your body's internal systems, like kidney filtration, blood pressure regulation, and glucose control, aren't as adaptable. A fruit that once helped cool you down in your 40s can now tip your system into crisis. Watermelon can be enjoyed, but only wisely. Here's how to protect yourself while still enjoying the benefits of watermelon. 1. Stick to a small portion, no more than 1/2 cup per serving. More than that and you risk blood sugar spikes and excess fluid loss. 2. Eat watermelon during the day, never at night. Best times are late morning or early afternoon, when circulation is stronger and blood pressure is more stable. 3. Always pair with protein or fiber. Have it with a handful of nuts, a boiled egg, or a slice of whole grain toast. This slows sugar absorption and balances digestion. 4. Be cautious if you're on diuretics or blood pressure meds. Talk to your doctor if you notice dizziness, lightheadedness, or waking up thirsty after eating watermelon. These could be signs your body isn't handling it well. 5. Hydrate intentionally if you eat watermelon. Since it acts like a diuretic, always drink extra water throughout the day to counteract the fluid loss. Mr. Leonard now lives by a new rule: no watermelon after 4 p.m. Since adjusting his diet, he hasn't had another fainting spell. He still enjoys his favorite fruit, just in the right way. He says, "I didn't realize a bowl of melon could nearly take me out." 5. Oranges. Dangerous drug interactions story. David, 85, was a retired school principal who prided himself on keeping a routine. Every morning at 6:30 a.m., he'd sit at his kitchen table, take his heart and cholesterol medications, and sip a tall glass of fresh orange juice, something he believed was part of his healthy morning ritual. He'd been doing this for years without thinking twice. But over time, something strange started happening. David began feeling offbeat flutters in his chest, irregular heart rhythms that left him dizzy. Sometimes his vision blurred slightly when he stood up. Other times, he just felt strangely tired after breakfast. His family noticed he was quieter and slower, but chalked it up to normal aging. Then one afternoon, he collapsed while watering his backyard garden. At the ER, doctors discovered his blood pressure had dipped dangerously low, and his blood levels of one medication, his statin, were far higher than expected. The culprit? Not a new condition, not a new drug. It was something hiding in plain sight, his daily glass of orange juice. It may sound surprising, but not all fruits are harmless, especially for those over 60 on regular medications. Oranges, particularly certain types like Seville and blood oranges, contain a natural compound group called furanocoumarins. These compounds block a key enzyme in the liver, CYP3A4, that helps break down and eliminate many common medications. When that enzyme is blocked, the medications stay in your body longer and at higher concentrations, increasing the risk of side effects. For seniors, this can lead to serious problems. Statins for cholesterol. Elevated levels can cause liver strain, muscle weakness, or even dangerous muscle breakdown. Calcium channel blockers for blood pressure can lead to excessively low blood pressure or heart rhythm issues. Anti-anxiety or sleep medications, prolonged sedation or confusion. Certain anticoagulants, increased risk of bleeding or stroke. And it's not just the fruit pulp, it's even worse in juice form because you're consuming the fruit's compounds in concentrated doses and without fiber to slow down absorption. This problem is even more critical after age 60. The aging liver slows down naturally. Add in prescription meds, and the margin for error shrinks. A fruit that once helped your immune system may now tip your medication levels into a danger zone. Even orange juice labeled natural or fortified with calcium can pose a risk, depending on the variety of oranges used in processing. Skip the juice. Orange juice is high in sugar and lacks fiber. But more importantly, it can contain concentrated furanocoumarins. Seniors should avoid drinking it daily, especially in the morning with meds. Go for whole fruit, occasionally. Fresh orange slices from common sweet orange varieties like Navel or Valencia are lower in furanocoumarins than Seville or blood oranges. Eat in moderation and ideally not at the same time as medication. Always check with your doctor or pharmacist. If you're taking statins, blood pressure drugs, sedatives, or blood thinners, ask if citrus should be avoided or limited. Some drugs carry grapefruit-style warnings that apply to oranges too. Diversify your vitamin C sources. Swap orange juice for safer alternatives like kiwi, strawberries, or bell peppers, which offer high vitamin C with lower drug interaction risks. Morning routine fix. If orange juice is part of your habit, consider replacing it with a glass of water, warm herbal tea, or a small serving of low-acid fruits like blueberries or pear. As a geriatric pharmacist, I can't count the number of times I've seen medications go wrong, not because someone missed a dose, but because they drank the wrong juice. For seniors, the interaction between food and medicine is just as critical as the pills themselves. Your morning routine might feel harmless, but it could be slowly shifting your medication balance and your health. Oranges have long symbolized health, but for seniors on medications, they can quietly become a threat. Knowledge is your best protection. Small changes, like swapping juice for water or timing your fruit intake differently, can restore balance and prevent complications. So next time you reach for that glass of orange juice, pause. Check your meds. Consider your age, and remember, even something natural needs wisdom in how it's used after 60. 6. Apples. Blood sugar roller coasters. Story. Mrs. Louise Hammond, age 81, was known around her retirement village for her warm smile, pink lipstick, and her love for Honey-Crisp apples. Every afternoon at 3 p.m., like clockwork, she'd sit on her patio with her favorite snack, a large, juicy Honey-Crisp apple. No peel removed, no additions, just the apple. It was her healthy treat, she said. One late afternoon, as she finished her apple and reached for her crossword puzzle, she felt her hand go numb. Her vision doubled. Then her speech slurred. By the time help arrived, Louise had suffered a minor ischemic stroke. She had no major risk factors. Her cholesterol was managed, blood pressure under control, and no history of heart disease. So what happened? Her doctor traced it back to her blood sugar spikes, a silent problem made worse by her daily fruit choice. That seemingly innocent apple, eaten alone and late in the day, had been silently raising her insulin, causing blood vessel inflammation, and destabilizing her vascular system. It was a wake-up call she never saw coming. Apples are often considered one of the healthiest fruits, but not all apples are created equal, especially for seniors. Modern apples like Honeycrisp, Fuji, and Gala have been selectively bred over the years to be sweeter, with sugar levels nearly equivalent to soda. One large Honeycrisp apple can contain up to 20-25 grams of sugar, spiking blood glucose rapidly. When eaten alone, without fiber from the peel or fat/protein to slow digestion, this leads to what doctors call a glucose roller coaster. Here's what that looks like inside the body. Blood sugar spikes rapidly, forcing the pancreas to release a surge of insulin. High insulin leads to a rapid crash in sugar levels afterward, which can cause dizziness, fatigue, irritability, or even fainting. Over time, repeated spikes and crashes increase inflammation, damage blood vessels, and put extra strain on the heart and brain. This blood vessel inflammation and instability is a known risk factor for strokes, especially in older adults. After 60, our bodies become more insulin sensitive and less able to recover from sudden sugar surges. Many seniors are also on medications that affect blood sugar or circulation. Even without diabetes, regular consumption of high-sugar fruits can tip the balance. Worse still, eating apples at night or without a protein-fat companion can trigger overnight glucose instability, disrupt sleep, and strain cardiovascular recovery during rest. Not all apples are safe. The popular ones, Fuji, Gala, Honeycrisp, and Red Delicious, are higher in fructose and lower in beneficial polyphenols than old-fashioned, tart varieties like Granny Smith or Braeburn. Choose lower sugar apples. Granny Smith, Braeburn, or Pink Lady apples have a better balance of fiber, tartness, and antioxidants with less impact on blood sugar. Always eat with protein or fat. Pair apple slice with a tablespoon of almond butter, peanut butter, a slice of cheese, or a few walnuts. This slows digestion and smooths out glucose spikes. Avoid eating apples alone, especially in the late afternoon or evening. If you're hungry, have a complete snack, not just fruit. Keep the skin on. Apple skins contain most of the fiber and antioxidants. Peeled apples digest faster and cause sharper sugar spikes. Cut down on portion size. Choose small or medium apples. A massive Honeycrisp can contain nearly double the sugar of a Granny Smith. Monitor blood sugar. If you're pre-diabetic or diabetic, check your blood sugar before and 1-2 hours after eating apples. You may be surprised at how certain varieties affect you differently. Be cautious if you're on blood thinners. Apples can contain salicylates, which may interact with certain heart or blood pressure medications. Always consult your doctor. Many seniors think they're doing the right thing by swapping cookies for fruit. But when that fruit is overly sweet and eaten alone, it may not be as safe as they think. As we age, we need to eat smarter, not just healthier. The goal is blood sugar balance, not just avoiding junk food. Apples carry the aura of health. After all, we've all heard an apple a day keeps the doctor away. But after 60, the type of apple, the way you eat it, and when you eat it matter just as much as the apple itself. Louise's story reminds us that even the safest foods can become risky with age. One small change, like switching to a tart apple or eating it with almond butter, can protect your heart, your brain, and your future. So next time you reach for that glossy, oversized Fuji, ask yourself, is this helping my health or hurting it? The next fruit is cherries. Blood too thin, especially with meds. Story: Mr. Daniel Rhodes, 84, had always believed in the power of natural foods. A retired teacher from Adelaide, he stayed active, read medical newsletters, and made a ritual of eating a small bowl of fresh cherries every day during the summer. His wife even joked that cherries were his secret anti-aging weapon. But what they didn't realize is that Daniel was also on a low-dose aspirin regimen, recommended by his doctor years ago after a minor heart scare. One morning after a quiet evening of reading and no symptoms at all, Daniel woke up dizzy. Then came the slurred speech, and within an hour he had collapsed. At the hospital, scans revealed a hemorrhagic stroke, bleeding in the brain. The doctors traced it back to excessive blood thinning. Daniel's aspirin had mixed with the natural salicylates in cherries, pushing his blood to dangerously thin levels. Here's the hidden danger. Cherries are often celebrated for their antioxidants and anti-inflammatory compounds, but few talk about their natural salicylate content. Salicylates are the same family of compounds found in aspirin. In healthy younger individuals, they may pose no problem. But in older adults, especially those on blood thinners like aspirin, warfarin, Coumadin, or Plavix, these compounds can become dangerous. The aging body doesn't process compounds as efficiently. The liver is slower, the kidneys are more delicate, and the margin for error with blood viscosity is much narrower after age 60. When cherries are consumed regularly alongside medication that's already thinning the blood, the risk of internal bleeding, especially brain bleeds, increases significantly. These hemorrhagic strokes can be more devastating than clot-related ones because they're harder to stop and often come without the early warning signs people are trained to notice, like numbness or tingling. Even cherry juice and dried cherries, often marketed as anti-inflammatory remedies for joint pain or gout, can contain high concentrations of salicylates. While that might sound appealing for someone with arthritis, it can tip the balance too far when combined with pharmacological blood thinners. For seniors, especially anyone taking blood-thinning medications, cherries are not the harmless treat they appear to be. They require careful moderation and medical transparency. What you should do instead: avoid cherry concentrates, juice, or dried forms that pack more salicylates per serving. Limit fresh cherry consumption to just a few at a time, occasionally, not daily. Always inform your doctor or pharmacist if cherries or cherry products are part of your regular diet, especially when managing stroke prevention or heart disease. Get regular blood tests to monitor clotting factors, or INR levels, if you're on medications like warfarin. Remember, it's not about eliminating all fruits from your life. It's about understanding how aging changes your chemistry and how the natural can sometimes silently amplify the effects of the medicinal. The number 8 is strawberries. Pesticides, mold and gout triggers. Story: Elaine Carter, 80, loved her morning smoothies. Every Sunday, she'd buy a big carton of strawberries from the market, wash them, and freeze them for the week ahead. It became a ritual: 2 scoops of frozen strawberries, a banana, a little almond milk. She believed it was her super healthy way to start the day. But over a few months, Elaine began noticing pain in her hands. Her joints would swell, especially after meals. At first, she blamed arthritis. But then the pain began to shift. Her toes, her knees, even her wrists. Eventually, she experienced a mild stroke that left her hospitalized for 3 days. Her uric acid levels were elevated, and the doctors traced her symptoms back to chronic inflammation, fueled in part by her favorite fruit. She was shocked. "Strawberries? I thought they were good for me," she told her physician. But the truth was more complicated. Strawberries have a sparkling reputation, loaded with antioxidants, vitamin C, and fiber. But for seniors, there are several hidden dangers hiding beneath that red, juicy surface. 1. Pesticide-load strawberries top the Environmental Working Group's Dirty Dozen list year after year. Non-organic strawberries are sprayed with fungicides, insecticides, and herbicides, many of which are classified as endocrine disruptors or neurotoxins. For seniors with weakened detoxification systems, especially the liver and kidneys, this chemical load can increase the risk of inflammation, hormonal imbalance, and cellular stress. Washing strawberries helps, but it does not remove all residues. Freezing them can actually preserve pesticide exposure. Over time, chronic consumption of non-organic berries may quietly chip away at vascular health, setting the stage for stroke and other circulation-related problems. 2. Purines and uric acid. Strawberries, although not the highest in purines, can contribute to elevated uric acid levels when eaten in excess. Purines are compounds that the body breaks down into uric acid, a substance that, when it accumulates, causes inflammation and crystal buildup in joints, gout, as well as kidney stones and vascular damage. For older adults who may already have reduced kidney function and slower metabolism, even moderate purine intake can trigger health issues. Excess uric acid isn't just about gout. It's linked to high blood pressure, inflammation, insulin resistance, and stroke. 3. Mold and histamine reactions. Strawberries are soft, porous fruits that mold easily, especially after being washed and frozen. Even microscopic mold spores can trigger histamine responses in sensitive individuals, causing joint inflammation, fatigue, and even brain fog. Seniors with compromised immune function or underlying sensitivities might not even recognize the subtle signs of mold toxicity until symptoms escalate. Takeaway: while strawberries may seem like a heart-smart, nutrient-dense fruit, they pose real risks for seniors over 60, especially when consumed daily, non-organic, or in large quantities. What to do instead? Only choose organic strawberries. The difference in pesticide load is significant and worth the price, especially for seniors. Eat them fresh, not frozen when possible. Discard berries that look soft, have spots, or show any sign of mold. Limit portions. A small handful occasionally is fine, but avoid daily consumption if you're prone to gout, joint pain, or kidney issues. Talk to your doctor if you've had elevated uric acid levels and get routine checks, especially if you consume berries or fruit-based smoothies regularly. Avoid strawberry juice, concentrate, and processed snacks. These forms concentrate sugar and potential toxins, increasing inflammation. Pushing bodies are not the same as younger ones. What's healthy in youth can become harmful in later years, especially when mixed with medication, slower detoxification, and underlying chronic conditions. So next time you reach for strawberries in the store, remember, fresh, organic, and in moderation. Or consider safer fruits like blueberries or raspberries if you're managing gout or kidney concerns. The last fruit is mango. Sugar spike plus drug interference story. William Booker, 83, was proud of his effort to eat better. He had a serious sweet tooth but gave up cookies and pastries after his doctor warned him about prediabetes and heart risk. In their place, he started snacking on dried mango slices, thinking it was a healthy, natural alternative. At first, he felt fine, but a few weeks in, he began feeling dizzy in the mornings with occasional nausea and fatigue. Then one morning, while reaching for his blood pressure pills, he collapsed on the kitchen floor. Paramedics found him conscious but weak, his blood pressure dangerously low and his heart rhythm slightly off. At the hospital, tests revealed elevated levels of his blood pressure medication and unusually high blood sugar. The culprit? Not cookies, but mango. Mango is often labeled a superfruit, packed with vitamin C, beta-carotene, and antioxidants. But for seniors, especially those on medications, mango can pose serious risks that go far beyond sugar content. 1. High natural sugar load. 1 cup of chopped mango contains about 23 grams of sugar, nearly as much as a standard chocolate chip cookie. While natural, this sugar can still cause rapid blood glucose spikes, especially in seniors whose insulin response has weakened with age. In William's case, the dried mango was far worse, with sugar levels nearly triple that of fresh. Drying concentrates the sugars while removing the water and fiber that normally slow digestion. This means even a small handful of dried mango can cause sudden insulin surges, followed by energy crashes. And in some people, dangerous hypoglycemia, low blood sugar, if combined with medications like insulin or metformin. For seniors with diabetes or prediabetes, heart disease, weight management concerns, this sugar spike can lead to inflammation, oxidative stress, and eventually increased stroke or cardiac risk. 2. Liver enzyme interference. Less known is that mango, especially green mangoes and unripe varieties, contains natural compounds, like mangiferin and certain polyphenols, that can inhibit liver enzymes, particularly CYP3A4. This enzyme is responsible for metabolizing many common drugs, including statins, calcium channel blockers, like amlodipine, benzodiazepines, antidepressants, immunosuppressants. When these enzymes are blocked or slowed, your medications can build up in the bloodstream, reaching toxic levels even if you're taking the correct dose. This can lead to extreme fatigue, dizziness or fainting from low blood pressure, heart rhythm disturbances, liver strain, adverse drug reactions. This is especially dangerous in older adults, whose liver function may already be reduced by age and polypharmacy, taking multiple medications daily. Or 3. Potassium concerns. While not as potassium heavy as bananas, mangoes still contain a moderate amount of potassium, and for seniors with kidney issues or on medications that retain potassium, like ACE inhibitors or spironolactone, this can tip potassium levels into danger zones. Elevated potassium, hyperkalemia, can cause heart palpitations, weakness, and even sudden cardiac arrest. Takeaway: mango may look harmless, tropical, juicy, and nutritious. But for seniors, especially those managing blood sugar, blood pressure, or medication metabolism, it can silently create dangerous health situations. Here's what to do. Avoid dried mango entirely. It's concentrated sugar with none of the fiber or water needed to slow digestion. If you eat mango, only use fresh, ripe slices and limit to a half cup at a time. Always pair mango with fat or protein, e.g. nuts, yogurt, or cottage cheese. This slows the sugar absorption and helps prevent insulin spikes. Eat it during the day, not at night, when your metabolism is slower and blood sugar spikes can be more harmful. Check with your doctor or pharmacist if you're on medications that may interact with liver enzyme inhibitors, CYP3A4 substrates. Don't combine mango with grapefruit or orange juice, which have similar enzyme blocking effects, doubling the risk of drug buildup. Remember, what's marketed as a healthy, natural treat can sometimes be just as harmful as the processed food you tried to avoid, especially as your body changes after 60. William thought he was doing the right thing, but his body told a different story. With a few tweaks and better awareness, you can still enjoy fruits like mango, just in the right way and at the right time. Your body is not fragile, but it is changing. You've earned the right to eat well, but now you must eat wisely. These fruits aren't bad, they just need boundaries. So, eat fruit in the morning or early afternoon. Always pair it with fat or protein. Avoid juice, dried versions, and eating fruit alone. And talk to your doctor, especially if you're on medications. This isn't about fear. It's about respect for your body, your age, and your wisdom. If you learned something new, comment 1 below to let us know. If this video could help a friend or parent, please share it. And if you want more health wisdom for life after 60, subscribe for future videos. Thank you for being here. Stay sharp, stay safe, and feed your brain the future it deserves.